Welcome to
Hardcore Promotions.
Are you ready to take your music to the next level? Get up there in the scene, be seen, be heard, or get yourself a bloody squiz of this. Hardcore Promotions is your complete promotional service, figureheaded by the very talented Mr. Aaron Mangano of Calvath, Garotere and Celestial Burial. Hardcore Promotions offers complete promotional packages, drum beats, mixing and mastering, recording, logos, posters, vocal features, and merchandise. So giddy up and give your music the kick up the ass that it deserves. Jump online, find yourself Clot Corp Promotions on Facebook and Instagram, and get in touch with Aaron Mangano at clotcorppromotions@gmail.com. That is KLOTKORP.
That sort of was hard to say.
Only.
Here's a favourite old bush song, and we'd like you all to sing along.
The old gum tree.
Welcome to the Thunda Down Under. The All Aussie Alternative and Metal Music Showcase.
Fly a flag on your aerial.
And how about your host, eh? Kane Vella Fella.
This is Tomo
NB
from Firestorm
and you're listening to the Thunda Down Under
on Front Row Radio.
Aussie! Aussie! Aussie!
Oi! Oi! Oi!
G'day guys, Fella here, and I'm bringing you another episode of
The Thunda Down Under.
the first of its kind in the new year. Welcome to January, folks. I'm here with my friends from Firestorm, all the way from New South Wales, Broken Hill. We're gonna bring you an interview from those guys. I'm gonna, as per usual, pop it on in and throughout the show. And as well as that, we've got a few things to look forward to. A new track from Tasmanian metalcore band Black Serenade, as well as we've got some new material from Queensland hard rock band Ruination, and we're going to be announcing the first of this year's winners of our random listeners draw. Absolute stacked lineup, including Bloody Poop, Buried Shallow, Department of Gloom, Ectoplasmorphosis, Snakes, Grim, and a shit ton more. We kicked off the show with our featured band, Firestorm. That was their track, Into the Void, which happens to be the first track off their EP. Stick around to get some insight into the band Firestorm with their interview that I'm putting in and throughout the show, and we can also expect another banger from them later on. Firestorm are splicing elements of traditional thrash and power metal to create the perfect storm. Guys, we then went over to Brisbane with the band Rhino and their track Afterlife. And we followed that up with another Brisbane band, Ales. That was their track, Product. They're a progressive metal outfit. This quartet is the brainchild of guitarist, vocalist Ian Ales, who has had a prolific music career in the Australian heavy metal scene over the past 20 years. Bands that he's been involved with include Praetorian, Dragon's Mead, Born from the Ashes, coupled with an academic background in classical guitar. Ales' lineup is completed by drummer Alex Bandera, who is also in Born from Ashes and Puncture Wound, and classically trained musicians Monash Lal and Will Town of the Riverside Guitar Ensemble. With this unique lineup, combining both metal and classical influences, Ales aligns the technicality, finesse, and musicianship of both styles with emotive songs. And tying up our first segment, we had Decidia, the Gutted Stag. Stick around for more all Aussie beef. You're on the Thunda Down Under on Front Row Radio.
Every
my name is Billy Rebates, otherwise known as B, and I play, I'm one of the lead guitarists for Firestorm and the lead vocalist.
Yeah, I'm Tomo Jovanovic and I play guitars in Firestorm. So my favourite Australian beer, whatever the lead singer brings to band practice.
Which is usually Pirate Life South Coast Pale Ale or Cooper's Sparkling.
Yeah, Cooper's sick. Yeah, nice.
What makes our music unique? I don't know. I think it's a good mix of speed, agility, but also, we know how to hold a groove as well. And, we're very impatient people when it comes to listening to music. So we want to write tunes that excite us, that don't bore us, and that we like listening to.
Give me hooks, give me riffs.
Hooks and riffs, eh? Yep. And what about, so the rest of the band? You guys, how many in the band?
3 at the moment, 3 of us.
Yeah. But essentially, so that's it for your live gigs at the moment.
No. There'll be a 4th. So for the foreseeable future, we'll be using a session drummer to play live.
Yeah.
So 2 guitarists, bass player, a session drummer.
Yeah.
So we've got some contacts in Adelaide. Obviously, Broken Hill is a very small country town.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to find a capable drummer.
Yep.
And so, so we'll be reaching out abroad when it comes time to do some live shows.
Nice. Can't stop the clocks for not having a full band, hey?
Well, and that's
just got to keep the beast alive.
Definitely, I think ever since the band started, we were against the odds being out in the bush, to do what we've done, essentially, But, we just had to kind of keep moving along. Stay inspired, and just I suppose keep the storm alive.
Yeah. Would you say there's a lack of musicians generally in the rural town of Broken Hill?
I don't think it's a lack of musicians necessarily, as more so a lack of opportunity. And I think we were fortunate in our youth to have a youth services officer that supported the local music scene and basically inspired all of us to play. Okay. And that was fundamental in our musical journey, and also, what made us able to do this in later life even.
Yeah, so that's where kind of Firestorm started, you could say, generally.
Yeah, we all crossed paths back in the day, didn't we?
Yeah, we all played in different bands. Sometimes we played together in bands and stuff, so later on in life when we reunited, we all knew each other. Yeah. We had similar tastes for music. Yeah, we'd matured a little bit, not too much. Yeah. So it was really good to get together with a bunch of friends and do something crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Okay.
This is a shitty language warning. If you don't like it, cover your ears or go make yourself a singer.
Have a look at 10 things you should never say to a true blue Aussie. Number 1, don't you ever fucking tell me to throw a shrimp on the barbie, dickhead. If you think Australians run around throwing bloody bubblegum shrimp on their barbecues out the back while they enjoy a couple of beers, you are a complete fucking idiot. Once you spend any time down under, you'll learn quick, bloody smart, that shrimp don't fucking exist! No one's ever called shrimp. They're called prawns, dickhead. Get it right or get fucked.
The Thunda Down Under! On Front Row Radio!
Brendan from All This Filth, and you are listening to Thunder Down Under on Front Row Radio.
Granted life with purpose. But I've been left with this.
Caged existence there with The Burden of Purpose. And before that, we had Perth band All This Filth. Their track, Breathing Concrete. Watching the world appear to fall into a state of decay with society tearing at the walls and each other. Dark clouds looming over prosperity and evolution being hindered by stagnant development. Perth industrial groove metal outfit All This Filth push the hatred and disgust into their powerful, aggressive, hard-hitting tunes. To the uninitiated, All This Filth are a metal band from Perth, Western Australia. They blend many different metal and heavy subgenres including groove metal, thrash, hardcore, death metal, industrial metal, and even hints of sludge and nu metal to create a unique blend of aggressive fury. Strongly influenced by bands such as Fear Factory, Chimera, and Sepultura, the essence of what metal really means is expressed sonically through the crushing riffs, solid drums, and ballsy bass, while being dynamically shaped with electronic keys and audio samples. All This Filth, guys. Check them out. Second up, Void of Vision with their track Empty. And first track up in that segment, we had the old school death thrash crust band from Sydney, Australia, All Hope Remains, featuring current and former members of Thunda, Hostile Objects, Howl, Persecution, Sea Lungs, Sounds Like Winter, Suffer, Sominus, and The Veil. That was their track, burn. Let's keep it going here on the Thunder Down Under Front Row Radio. Thanks a bunch for listening in. This is a shitty language warning, so if you don't like it, cover your ears or go fire up the Barbie.
3. Anything negative about Steve Irwin. You listen here, you ignorant fuckface. If you think you're going to take his name in vain or use a stingray in the same sentence as his name, well, I've got another thing coming for you, mate. I'll tell you what'll bloody happen. As soon as you step foot in customs in Australia, we'll drop a fucking drop bear on your head, you dickhead, and you'll be fucking gone.
The Thunder Down Under.
Tell me, what did he say?
He said, I can smell your...
Beep.
I see.
got to be the Blind Guardian support show that we played in Adelaide, and that's purely on the fact that Blind Guardian was my favourite band of all time from when I first started to get into heavy metal and discover what I liked. And that epitomised everything that I liked in music, and every time I listen to them, they take me on a journey, and it was surreal to play that show and to sit there and listen to them, essentially have a free ticket to the show and meet the guys in the band, and it was,
That would have been enough on its own.
That was enough.
Let alone...
That's
like,
huge
support them,
huge bucket list item ticked off. I could almost retire happy man after that one. But, we've still got a bit more in us, and I hope to maybe cross paths with them again sometime. Who knows?
Yeah. And Tomo, how long did that take to get to that point for you guys?
Well, look, that would have been when I was in my early 20s when I discovered Blind Guardian, and I'm now 46.
Yeah.
So that's quite a while, and I didn't believe I was going to be playing music at this age.
Yeah.
I've got 2 young kids, and, life's taken a big turn. But
so that was pretty recently, right?
Yeah. But the opportunity arose to form this band during COVID era, and for whatever reason, fate saw it fit to put us where we are and give us the opportunities we've had. I mean, thank you.
And not that you've worked for it.
No, I'm a huge proponent of the 80-20 rule. 20% effort gives 80% results, and I'm that sort of guitarist. So don't expect too much, but I'll give you 80%. Don't worry.
Yeah, good on you. There's got to be a balance like that, isn't it? Otherwise, it just doesn't work. Everyone's got their life to live, and you can't ever just count on music making you money, and then there's all those external factors as well. So
Definitely,
of course.
Yeah, I think it was, it's not uncommon for us to drive 500, 800 kilometres to play one show, virtually unpaid, and then turn around and drive all the way back home. And that's what you've just got to do if you're living out in the bush.
Inevitably costs us money, but hey, so what? We do this for love.
Yeah,
definitely.
What was your favourite show that we played?
Oh, look, I think everyone's got every show that we've played's got their strong point. I think the Blind Guardian show was extremely surreal. That was an amazing experience.
Another big fan of Blind Guardian?
Not as big as Tomo, but just with their status, it was pretty amazing. And obviously as a vocalist, Hansi, especially his work with Demons and Wizards, is an influence of mine.
Yeah.
So that was really great to meet him. Humble guy, was really lovely. Yeah, so I think that was one of my favourite shows. But however, I think the tour that we did with Unleash the Archers, I think show at UTS Unibar in Sydney, that was pretty amazing. There was about 900 people there, awesome venue. The light show was just awesome.
Nice.
And then to see people a few people knew a few of our songs, which was really surreal. Other ones that hadn't heard us before, they were pretty shocked and, had a lot of nice comments after the show. But then I think also our show in Valhalla in Wellington was probably one of the most intense shows. Very small venue, very cramped, small stage, but just absolutely intense.
I think one guy, he'd come to one show in Canberra, and then he got fear of missing out. He came to the one in Melbourne, then he flew over to Auckland because he didn't want to miss out.
What a legend.
And he came to the 2 shows there. So shout out to, I forget his name, shout out to him, man. He was a super fan of...
I didn't know who he was.
Man. What a dude. And amazing. So, that was the last show of the entire tour. That was... if you encapsulate that whole tour together, that was the most amazing experience ever.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Yeah. And shout out to Hardline Media for letting us have that opportunity, and shout out to our ex-drummer Ash, who really championed that space and to get us in there. So massive thanks to those 2 mobs.
Yeah, nice, excellent. And where'd that tour go, sort of thing? It was.
So we did 6 capital cities in Australia. Yep. And then we did Auckland and Wellington in New Zealand.
Nice.
Which was absolutely surreal. I think, we started this band with the idea that we'd play a few gigs in Broken Hill, maybe a few gigs in Adelaide.
Yep.
I think by our first show, we had people, pulling us aside. I remember Chris from Hidden Intent pulled us aside after the first show that we played in Broken Hill because they came up for it, and he was like, you guys are good. And here we are. We probably. We're not hard work. We're not scared of hard work when it comes to the actual playing music side of things. Tomo and myself, we're probably not as into the management side of stuff, but, you know, we love to play, we love to write.
Yep.
And so we put ourselves, we were pretty hard on ourselves when it comes to playing. So to hear that was really nice. And then it kind of turned into this beast that we were struggling to kind of keep up with, you know.
Oh, at our age.
At our age, yeah. With families as well, you know, we've both got young kids, quite demanding jobs, you know.
Yeah.
We work in some pretty full-on spaces. There's the excessive travel, living out in the bush, you know, there's the family stuff. There's also our community responsibilities, you know, beyond our work and whatever else. We're also part of a small community, which means, you know, being there for your mates, being there for your community when they're in need. So juggling all those things, it's pretty tricky, and not a lot of people probably understand how hard it is to kind of do this in a remote area. You know, it's hard to do in a big
just
city.
professionally as it is, no matter where you are.
Yeah.
But
But I think that also came with some bonuses as well. I think because of our isolation, you know, we've had to be pretty self-sufficient in terms of, you know, how we work a studio. Also, when we do the live shows in Broken Hill, you know, all the band, we know how to mix, we know how to do lighting, we know how to set up. So if we'd have guests come from different cities, and we'd be playing plus running the shows, plus mixing, doing all the background stuff. And in the city, sometimes you've got a luxury where you can pay people to do that. Out here, you don't have that. You know, if you're playing a guitar with a Floyd Rose, you've got to know how to set it up. If you want to change pickups, you've got to know how to solder. You know, so and that's probably been one of the positives from coming from a small country town. You have to
becoming independent.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Welcome to Hardcore Promotions.
Are you ready to take your music to the next level? Get up there in the scene, be seen, be heard, or get yourself a bloody squiz of this. Quat Corp Promotions is your complete promotional service, figureheaded by the very talented Mr. Aaron Mangano of Kelvath, Garatere and Celestial Burial. Quat Corp Promotions offers complete promotional packages, drum beats, mixing and mastering, recording, logos, posters, vocal features, and merchandise. So giddy up and give your music the kick up the ass that it deserves. Jump online, find yourself Quat Corp Promotions on Facebook and Instagram, and get in touch with Aaron Mangano at quatcorppromotions@gmail.com. That is KLOTKORP. Kicked off that segment with Bloody Poop, their track Vaba Dabadoo, pushing the boundaries of absolutely nothing and without a speck of uniqueness about them is Bloody Poop, a pooper group containing scraps and offcuts of past members from Perth's metal underground sewage system, collecting samples of gritty grind and groovy death from across the spectrum. Bloody Poop excrete a torrential stream of hot, hefty, and gut-busting riffage, squeezed out during several emergency visits to the proctologist. These new shits, aptly titled Poops Bloody Poops,
explore the vast realm of human stupidity, and thus is a collection of stupid songs about stupid humans. Originally hailing from Eucalypt Springs, a very small town on the outskirts of Australia's most active eruptions. That was Bloody Poop Guys, a not so serious band making some serious music. Second track in that set, Drink, Fight, Fuck, Blood Duster, classic. Third up, we had Buried Cello from Perth, Western Australia. We weld many influences, including death metal, deathcore, groove, industrial, and new metal, to name a few. What this means for you as a promoter is that our style is a broad fit, and we can bring the energy, talent, and professionalism you expect for a standout local support. Made up of experienced members of previous touring outfits, we hit the Perth scene hard in 2023, laying the groundwork for fervent local support. Now there's a well-written EPK if I've seen one. Buried Cello guys, these guys mean business. Look them up if you're looking for a, in their terms, fervent support act. We listened to their track, Paint with Pain. And we tied that segment up with Seconds Before Sunrise. Take a breath and hold. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're enjoying the show. You're with That Vella Fella on the Thunda Down Under Front Row Radio.
Clinging to the wheel. right. I'll take it personally. You were versed in virtually nerfing the hurt. We've heard at least 20 people take turns to speak. I'm sick of feeling like I'm a villain in the first degree. Te comento fake out of the God. I don't do anybody, you gotta be a job. That's the one that I just put him in, they take up a plate. I wanna see about the pockets of venomous animals a different way. I wanna feel something. I wanna feel something. I wanna feel something. I wanna feel something. I want to be the one who hurts you. I want to be the one that cares. Feelings intense, they're hard to swallow. It feeds the fear. Oh! Take you outside and see what you taste like. Like bubbling gasoline hanging from a children's cage. I want to be the one who hurts you. I want to be the one that cares. Feelings intense, they're hard to swallow. It feeds the fear.
Australian bands that have really influenced me. Look, I'm going to go to one that's from my hometown. A band called Fury was later on known as the Harrowed. Their self-titled album done on a drum machine and an old Zoom pedal, you know, a horrible guitar tone, horrible drum tone. That thing just punched, you know what I mean? It was like Pantera, you know, like, but, you know, a Broken Hill version. Yeah, you know, and I remember seeing them in Broken Hill play live. They came back from Adelaide and done this show. Their drummer snapped a snare skin in the second song. They were shredding, and I was just like, I can't believe, you know, if these guys can do it, then maybe I can do it. But I suppose since then, my more recent influences would be, you know, Freedom of Fear, the Absolution sequence, Orpheus and Omega, Livewire, and Hidden Intent.
Yeah.
If I think about the bands that influenced me, like from Australia, AC/DC is definitely one.
Yeah.
Definitely one.
Absolutely.
You just can't go past those guys. But again, back to a local band, Dungeon was definitely influence for me back in the day. I listened to them and I thought, holy cow, a band from my hometown that played the style of music that I liked it was pretty surreal. And I remember a show when they came back to Broken Hill and I met the guitarist Dale Corney at that time, and he ended up moving back to town, and I just couldn't pass up the opportunity to try and form a band with someone from Dungeon, so I did that, and and like B was the drummer, and Dale was became the lead singer because he didn't want to play guitar anymore. He'd had enough of that, and I played guitar in that band, and that band was called Soul Forge, and we recorded an album, and I'm really proud of that album, and that album itself, I guess. Can you have your own band as an influence of yours? I don't know if that's possible, but
with a certain lineup, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was and a different era. It was like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah,
so, you know,
absolutely.
that was a whole different world, and I left music for so long, 10 years. And then we're back into music again, and it's a whole different perspective. Yeah. I'm a different person.
But that's great. Like, a lot of people are a little bit perturbed to go back to their roots, if you know what I mean. They're a little bit almost embarrassed of their early works as artists. So that's great. That's really cool. And if you started there and with that as your influence and trying to just keep getting better from there, well, hey,
Wow.
Like, where are you going to go from here?
Yeah.
Like,
if anyone wanted
the sky's the limit,
that's
isn't
right.
it?
If anyone
Like-
wanted to listen to that old Soulforge album, I'm sure it's online somewhere. And then you can compare it to Firestorm now and see how we've evolved and changed. What an interesting perspective to have.
Yeah.
And B was on the drums back then, and you'll see what a weapon he was there.
Yeah.
And then and now lead singer and guitarist.
That's great. All right, thanks, guys. a later track from what was Japunga, their Theory of My Life. Second from last in that set, Distorter, a band from Ballarat, with a track from their second EP that was titled Deafening Sins off of their Dead Man EP. The core themes of the Dead Man EP center around conflict, death, and redemption. Distorter continues to fuse elements of groove, death, power, and thrash metal into their sound, with choruses you can sing along to, combined with the insane growls and screams of lead singer Dmitry Karametsky. It also has heavy grooving riffs that punch you right in the guts from the get-go. Distorter's lineup for this EP includes James Bogas and Dom Davey on guitars, Dave Pradanovich on bass, Chris Hanrahan on drums, and Dmitry Karametsky commanding the stage with his presence and powerful vocals. Deafening Sins is the first single from the EP and is accompanied by a music video available on YouTube. Check that out, guys. That captured scenes of the band having fun and a few too many beers on a weekend away, mixing tracks for this release. Guys, that EP is now available on all major streaming platforms and allows fans to experience the intensity of the band from the comfort of their lounge chair. Second up in that set, the artist from Tasmania that needs no introduction, Kim Dracula, 70 Thorns, featuring Jonathan Davis. And firing off was Department of Gloom, their track Lonely Highway. Department of Gloom is made up of 4 Sydney Australian-based musicians, including ex-members of Florida's Jenna Torturous, Sydney-based industrialist Jerk, and glam metal punks Candy Harlots. The sound is a fiery amalgam of all these things. They've opened for such acts as Skid Row, Hardcore Superstar, and Wednesday 13, and have played many of their own shows, picking up quite a following of devotees. Go give them a geese, Department of Gloom.